So we're back, and today we've got Kevin Hilton, our brewmaster extraordinaire, and Travis.
He's not FNG anymore.
What's your last name, Travis?
Slaughter.
Travis Slaughter. Came to us from Terrapin Brewery, and he actually has a degree in fermentation science from Appalachian State.
Yeehaw.
Yeah, that's Boone.
Boone, North Kakalaki.
Dude, I've got good memories of Boone. I love Boone. For all the people that have been to Boone.
I guess I've had a good time there.
Yeah, dude. You were there 4 years?
I'm not going to go into
6,
detail.
8?
You don't want me to go into detail.
Obviously not.
Actually, we might. That might actually be interesting as opposed to whatever else we're about to talk about.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about yourself. What you came here? You're looking to move up in the world, move down to Albany, Georgia. And
Something like that. Yeah. So I went to school originally for music, and then I decided it wasn't for me. Went online and saw a program entitled Fermentation Sciences 4-year degree, and I said, no way, that's a thing. So I decided to give it a whirl and just thought I'd be drinking beer casually with some guys. I was doing that, but didn't realize when I was younger, of course, how much science and chemistry and biology is behind all of it all. And I wouldn't have changed it for a world, man. Fermentation field is awesome. Great people in the beer industry, which is, of course, what I'm focusing in. Happy as a clam.
so you didn't have any sort of background in it. You literally looked online and
I
like
went.
that's a thing.
Yeah.
He was doing like kombucha, like on the black market.
Yeah, exactly. Which we did. It
Hemp
wasn't.
oil kombucha.
Yeah, it wasn't just alcohol studying. We did all facets of fermentation, which was really cool. Food and non-alcoholic kombucha. As funny as it may be, yes, kombucha. I made a lot of kombucha while I was at college. So super fun time.
Yeah. Now tell us. So speaking of that, what is kombucha? Is that something we want to make at the brewery, or is that
Well, that's
like have any health benefits?
it's a bunch of probiotics.
Were you not in like podcasts like 8 with Jennifer Harris?
Actually, I think y'all started that one before I got there.
Actually, we did. And you mysteriously show up through the magic of editing.
There you go.
Boom.
He's there.
But yeah, kombucha, I guess if we want to talk about it, what you ferment that with is a SCOBY, so a symbiotic culture of bacteria and yeast, and use both of those to kind of, you make the alcohol, then you take the alcohol out by making it acidic, there we go. But that ferments both out and kind of makes a very low ABV. There's always like a trace amounts usually in kombucha.
So those of us who don't know, including me, what's the difference between that and our sour beers?
So the kombucha, like I said, has a low ABV. There's almost no alcohol contained in the kombucha. Sours like our Berliner Weisses or Gozas have, of course, it has a lot of sugar in the wort, so you're able to ferment that out, and without that bacteria automatically taking that alcohol out, you're able to have a higher ABV drink.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's not kombucha is not secondarily fermented, right? Or is it? So it's fermented. Well, maybe let me confuse you as much as I possibly can.
Yeah.
So kombucha, you make the wort or whatever you call it.
It's a
whatever
tea.
you call it, your tea,
Mm-hmm.
and then you add a it's lactobacillus, right?
Well, it's
Scoby.
a SCOBY, so it's this nasty.
multiple different
Yeah.
bacteria.
So it's this nasty looking patty thing that floats in
It's like
some
a jellyfish.
Yeah, some people.
So you add your jellyfish.
Yeah, you add your little jellyfish. Some
It's
people.
maybe lactobacillus, several different kinds.
Yeah,
Lactobacillus
a bunch
reuteri.
bunch of
and-
bacteria
yeah.
as well as yeast.
Right. Okay.
And that will take the sugars, make alcohol, make acid.
Make the acid,
Mm-hmm.
the lactic acid, which gives it the characteristic taste. And so then, but if you had a high sugar, so you're saying if you had a high sugar content tea, then it would actually make something similar to beer.
You could, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
they're doing that out in Denver and all those kind of
like,
kind of all the hippie communities that are still around. They're delving into that higher ABV kombucha beverages that are taking off, but it's not really a nationwide thing right now. It's kind of tricky when you get into the alcoholic beverage retail side of it. So it becomes much more of a harder product to sell if it has
No
actual
alcohol.
yeah. When it has no alcohol, it's easy. You just put it on the shelves and people drink it. But yeah, I mean, with the state of our laws, it makes it tough. Yeah.
Use the SCOBY over and over again, correct? Yeah.
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 The mother Scobie.
Yeah, it's the mother. Yeah. It's like a
Do you name it?
Well, you,
Because I would,
you
I
can.
would name it. I name our Scooby Eric.
nah, you name it Scooby.
The Eric Scooby. Scooby Doo.
Scooby.
Scooby Scooby.
Well, some
Our
people
Scooby Snack.
some people eat their Scobies, so sometimes
That's true.
it's hard for people to name something that you're going to eat. So
Awesome. Moving on. Yeah. So speaking
Wait,
of new products.
Yeah, can we just ask Travis real quick a little bit of his musical background? What kind of band he was in before he joined us?
oh gosh. All right. So I did a bunch of musical stuff. I'm a percussionist, so a drummer. Basically.
I thought you were a little shifty-eyed.
Yeah. I play a bunch of other stuff too, but the drumming is my main. If you can't tell by just how I look, I'm the drummer.
Yeah, that's cool. And you got both your arms.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
But I did reggae for a while.
That's just wrong.
Only my friends would get that joke.
Yeah, I get you. But did reggae, blues, classic rock. What I ended up doing for the longest time was jazz. And then the band name was Max Levy and the Hawaiian Shirts.
Awesome.
So we had the best, we just showed up with a Hawaiian shirt, played some jazz. The most comfortable outfit to be wearing when you're playing jazz, to be honest,
You can't tell if you spill stuff on it.
Yeah, exactly. That too. Or you're sweating so much that it's just,
Exactly.
But good times with the jazz band, with our Hawaiian shirts, played all over North Carolina.
Oh, brilliant.
Just swinging. That's how I live my life too, is swinging.
Where were y'all? We all mostly like the college tours, or
So we played, we're located in Wilmington, North Carolina. That's where I was kind of raised, was Wilmington. And then from there, the years, trust me, the first couple years playing, you didn't make a lot of money, and you kind of just were looked at funny.
So you made a lot of money toward the end.
Yeah. The last,
That's why he's a brewer now.
yeah. The last couple years was good, but
Oh, he was rolling in it.
yeah.
You know, I'm giving that all up. Gonna move Southwest Georgia.
Yeah. The best
Got a
year,
great beer program down there.
yeah. The best part of it with my last year playing like full time was my brewing internship too. So I brewed in the morning and then played gigs at night.
oh, wow.
So you would go, but very fun,
Yeah.
very very fun. Like I said, wouldn't change a thing for a world, man. So
No, no doubt. It brought you here. We're glad to have you.
there we go. Maybe I'll find a band here eventually.
Yeah, man.
We'll make
We
it
may,
all.
we may know people.
There we go.
You know any Metallica?
Give me fuel, give me fire.
Somebody in the background's like waving at you, so maybe there's an opportunity there.
There you go.
Yeah. So May the 4th be with all of y'all tomorrow, and we got some new beers coming out. We've been working on several projects, and I think last time we talked, we had the barrel aging that had just started. So fill us in on what news going on in the brew house and where it's headed. It's headed up in volume.
Yeah, it's definitely headed up in volume.
It's headed up in volume.
Yeah, I had planned on, and Travis can attest that kind of have been changing the brewing plan week to week as these orders keep piling in, and we keep on having to brew our core stuff. But yeah, we were hoping to have our hands in a couple more projects by this point, but we just had to push them back for the sake of production, and they're still there waiting to be brewed. And we've got two more of the kind of extensive aging program beers coming up, and we do have we did an Imperial Stout, which is part of our Star Wars release, is the Imperial Walker Station Stout. So just so I don't
We got
get
some beautiful names.
just so we don't get sued,
Yeah.
you gotta
That's not trademarked.
you gotta finish the sentence out. But yeah, that's our next kind of spirit aging project that we're going to be doing probably next week or so, and then yeah, we'll get back into the extensive aging project as soon as we can fill all of our orders. Which again, we thought we would be able to do about 3 weeks ago, but things are going good. So we just, with the focus on that, we'll get to that when we can get to it. I mean, again, it's a very extensive process, so it's not something that's going to be able to be flipped very quickly. So. It's there, and we've got visions for it. One of them is going to be a Flanders Red Ale, which is going to be fermented just straight in wood, and then the other one is going to be a saison, kind of in the tradition that we did the first beer in, aged in wine barrels, fermented cleanly. So yeah, we've Travis and I have been monitoring the process of the first American sour that we did, and it's right on track. So as much of a track that it can be on in 3 months out of 12 months to 24 months, somewhere in there. So
Well, where are we on the Hoth cold filtered project?
That was awesome.
that is the antithesis of how I feel today. Being out on the farm for 2 hours in the sun, it's like.
So if we
Yeah.
look a little fried,
Yeah.
we actually had a family fun day out at Pretoria Fields Farm, and we roasted some oysters, and we had a little low country boil. And it was awesome weather for a little bit, and then the sun, the clouds parted, and summer showed up. So
Yeah.
so Kevin looks a little burned.
Yeah, I know. I'm still getting
Travis
used to
looks a
Georgia.
little burned.
Yeah, you guys need to invest in some SPF like 75. If you're gonna live here,
When you get out there at 9:30 in the morning, and it's beautiful, you don't think about in 3 hours and
that's
three
just-
beers
that's
later
just-
how
that's
it's
just
going to
poor
feel.
planning on your part.
Yeah.
Oh,
No, 100%.
Oh, yeah.
You're right.
My plan is just to grow hair, so I don't have to worry about.
That's right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll be good.
Let that beard creep up
Yeah.
a little bit more.
Yeah.
None of my brewers' faces were burned. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Don't have to worry about that. So we brought 2 beers out there. We had about, as our business has gotten bigger over the past few years, we had about between 70 and 80 employees out at the farm. We brought 2 beers, Rye Charles.
That makes the
and-
brewery sound really, really big.
It does.
Had 80 employees.
Yeah. We've increased in size. Here we grow again.
Yeah. Well, it's-
And I guess most of the employees are ladies. And Strawberry Berliner was gone because I came back after about an hour and a half, and it was not none to be found. So that's a good thing.
That's like the 3rd time that's happened.
Yeah.
Happened at the tap room
Yeah.
with the and then it happened at the Americas beer.
Hot beer, cold glass.
Yeah.
Crazy, man. Yeah, that stuff goes quick.
Yeah. And I guess we could say the name Strawberry Fields or no.
Pretoria
Pretoria
Fields
Fields
forever. Yeah. We gotta watch those trademarks.
Oh.
Careful, man.
Have a bunch of C and D's here in our
We're in
inbox.
trouble now. if anybody,
It
if Paul
seems
McCartney's
good.
watching this,
Yeah.
well, then,
We're
actually, that's a really damn good thing.
Yeah.
It's like,
just got pissed. He took my song.
yeah, well,
Who knows? He'll just want some royalties. Actually, Sir Paul's probably got plenty of money.
Yeah. We don't need any more. But yeah, we're excited to get it out in the marketplace and start kind of a new theme of how we do beers, kind of piggybacking on the coattails of the Berry Goza and very localized whole fruits that haven't been processed other than when we get them we pasteurize them just so that we don't have problems down the line when the kegs are out there. So just trying to be very diligent in our processes and bringing our local community to all these other bars that and tap rooms that have been supporting us in the past, and as much as these styles of beer that we can brew, we will. But again, it's just playing that production game is it gets on top of you, and it's good problems to have, but it's always going to come in the forefront before we do special things like this. So.
Well, quality versus quantity is a real thing. Right?
Oh yeah,
So,
yeah,
I mean,
for
it's
sure.
Easy. Beer is easily made. Good beer is difficult to make.
Right.
And then large quantities of making the same thing over and over again
Mm-hmm.
can become technically difficult, if you don't continue with the similar process.
Exactly, and kind of one of our themes from the very beginning was slow beer made in the Georgia soil. So it's not like we can just all of a sudden start producing beers in 14 days like a couple other breweries do. We have our process, and we know how to get to the end product that we want to be conveyed to everybody through our farms, and we're going to stick to that. And if it means that we're a little bit slow one week or another week as far as getting beers out to the people that want it, that's just how it's got to be until we can logistically figure out ways to speed up our processes without messing with our quality at all.
And so I really liked talking to you the other night. We were talking about you now are in charge of several other brewers, and they're all clamoring to make one new beer after another, but coming up with the story behind it. So that's an awesome thing. I think that is our story, because we're so ingredient, and not saying that everybody else isn't, but we literally are a farm, and we have our products that we have to choose from, and so coming up and telling the story of how those things grew, or where they came from.
Yeah, I mean, that's not only does it help local businesses, local farmers, and people that we want to support, but it also just makes better beer too. And I had some feedback as to why are you sinking all your time into processing these fruits when you can buy them already processed, and everybody does that, and we don't want to be everybody. We want to have our South Georgia flavor, our terroir, come through in our beer, and we're not going to go to Walmart and just pick up some strawberries or limes or whatever fruits that we want to use at that time. We want to do our due diligence and find farmers that are growing the best stuff in our area, and use that in our beer rather than just what's easy and cheap.
Yeah, I know some serious loquat farmers. Those guys grow loquats like nobody's business.
No, that if that wasn't such a pain to process. That would be.
We would have a production beer.
That's my favorite beer that we're putting out this week is the Low Clop Berliner Weiss. So.
Yeah,
I'm gonna get some, 'cause it's gonna be gone.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Yeah, it's very good. And you know what else is good? What is this? The IPA I'm drinking right now?
The 0.5 past light speed.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So is that what that was?
Yeah, I think it is.
Yeah.
It's. Let me tell you what. I'm enjoying this.
I'm glad.
I think it's really good.
What do you enjoy about it?
I mean, the notes of it are really good. I really think I am highly enjoying maybe 6.7% at this point in time. But it's just really smooth. It finishes really, really well.
Pretty easy drinking for a 6
It is. I think so. I mean, all right. So which one of you guys?
So the kind of play on it is Millennium hops for bittering, Falconer's Flight blend for the hot side hops, and the Galaxy hops for dry hopping. So
It's got space written all
yeah.
over it.
Yeah, so-
I mean, I don't know how many parsecs You could make the castle run in, but
Better for 12.
I mean that's never really made sense because parsecs, it's just not the right measure. But I don't know who was advising Lucas on the whole thing.
I think it was ad libs.
Yeah, let me tell ad libs. Those were awesome, Mad Libs.
Yeah. No, but I mean, we've never used any of those hops before. It's something that I used to use a lot of, and they've become very expensive to make beers with, as some other hops have. So I haven't kind of gone back to it in a while, and got some inspiration from some of the other brewers, and was all for it. I get, with the Galaxy gives you a lot of those Southern Hemisphere kind of white wine, lime, a little bit more of an exotic fruit bouquet
Can y'all
on
smell
it.
this?
You gotta
It smells great.
agitate it a little bit and then put it out there.
It really doesn't come out till tomorrow.
Yeah, but
Well, actually, this podcast won't show for like 3 months. So
It
it came out 3 months ago.
yeah,
really
and it's
awesome.
gone, and you can never drink it again because we probably won't make it again. But
That is really good though.
but no, yeah, we just trying to do some new things, and trying to let the other brewers kind of spread their wings and do whatever they want as well. They've got some great ideas, and Travis has the amber out on this go round, and we've got a couple other beers from some of our other brewers coming out on the next round of beers that we'll release. So just kind of trying to let them do their thing and add their flavor into the menu that we're providing.
So
and
Austin's not here, but he made this. He made the dark pale ale.
Where is it?
it's a
Was it not the dark pale
Well,
ale?
I mean, it's not there anymore.
No. In full disclosure, it was only that full.
Oh, okay.
I was trying to watch my consumption
There you go.
because these things get a little edgy.
this podcast is not long enough for me to talk about the Cascadian
Oh, we
Dark
can.
Ale.
We can make it longer.
Apparently. But then somebody will have to cut it off.
Yeah.
We got to have a cutoff time. I mean, I don't know. Maybe we need a comptroller for time.
That's Sean.
Sean Henley.
If he didn't give me this little headset,
It's like Jordan.
I'm like a NASCAR driver. I got somebody talking in my ear.
Costanza.
It's our CPA, our CFA.
He's always telling us no.
CF no.
CF no.
Hey, can we do this? Can we just?
Can we
get a
do
little-
that? And he's like, no.
No, it's going to cost too much.
Just make better beer.
It's really not in the
So it
budget.
smells better. Sounds like Kravitz. So yeah.
Oh, he's my best friend. He
Who, Lenny Kravitz?
no, not Lenny Kravitz. Sean Henley.
He's totally different. Than
He lets me brew all this great beer, so I can't say anything bad about Sean.
He's not watching this.
Oh, you'd be surprised. If we put money into something, he's going to check it out.
Why did you buy more of that? Wait.
Guys drink too much beer on that podcast.
You know how much those Galaxy hops cost?
Oh my gosh.
God, you couldn't just make it with Huguenot.
He'll make all of his noises.
No.
We should get like some of those, like the thing where you hit the buttons and they can be Henry's
Oh, yeah.
noises.
A little soundboard.
Yeah, a little soundboard.
That would be awesome.
Henley, can we have no? This might get a little off the reservation.
Good man, though. Good man.
So, Henley, so one of the things is moving forward and getting with the farm, and the farm was beautiful today. Like, it's perfect time of year because it's right in the spring, and all of our blueberries and blackberries. We should pick blueberries in the next couple of weeks, and then we should have blackberries 2 weeks after that. So, which brings up the strawberry Blenderweiss. I mean, so it's a good transition. I mean, this year we had a great problem. We all of the blueberries and blackberries that we produced last year for Georgia's, as far as I know, Georgia's only organically produced berry goza, Georgia made, Georgia grown. We sold all of it.
No, we did sell a lot.
Yeah.
So we sold all of it. So we were out. We were pretty much out of it for a few weeks. And so then what did we? What? So I guess that's our strawberry Berliner Weiss. We sourced these strawberries from Farmer Fredo, and you came up with a recipe.
Yeah, so the Southern Grace Farms is where we got them from. We unfortunately are just a little bit too far south to be able to grow strawberries ourselves. We've tried, and we just get basically it gets warm enough where they think that everything's good to go, and they're going to start making some berries, and then we get a freeze, and then they'll die. So we found out last year that we can do strawberries, and so we needed to find another source for them. Luckily, yeah, we work with Farmer Fredo very frequently, and we tried out actually strawberries from a few different people, and we found out that I'm sorry, we actually tried Southern Grace. That was the first iteration of the strawberry Berliner Weiss. We did a second iteration with non-organic strawberries, and that wasn't quite up to par. And then we finally found a farmer that had both really great juicy strawberries and the quantity that we needed at the time. So it was kind of
It's like a lot of pallets.
yeah. It took us a long
You
time.
hand cut them.
It was a lot of cutting.
Yeah. That was the most commented
Now, why did
post
you
that I
hand cut
had.
them instead of just?
Yeah, why don't we just use syrup?
Syrup. Well,
Did we just talk about that?
again, yeah.
Maybe we did.
Yeah, well, and not that people aren't making great beer with the purees that are out there, but it's very homogeneous puree that you're going to get the same flavors out of. And I've worked with them a lot in my past, and they just don't translate through the biotransformation of the secondary fermentation that the beer goes through to really get that clean, juicy, and authentic strawberry flavor. I mean, it always kind of tastes like syrup or jam or something like that. So,
What is terroir?
terroir.
Yeah, what does that mean?
So that's just the flavor of the land, whatever that means.
It's often
Yeah, yeah, go ahead.
it's often used in the wine world,
Right.
Especially over France, Italy. It's everything where those grapes are grown that those grapes make up that wine, of course. So it's the soil. Some people even go as far as saying it's the winemaker in the region that
Sure.
will attribute to that final wine's character. But it's everything: the sunlight, the elevation, anything you can think of in that area, the lay of the land. That's what's coming through in your product.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I like to think about it in terms of our rye because I think rye is usually grassy, and I think ours is less grassy, and it really mixes with the taste of the hops for our rye IPA. I mean, it's
Yeah,
it's
that's
just
how
different.
that's how
And
it
I think
was
it's a
developed.
different- yes.
It's a little bit more nutty rather than spicy and grassy, so it just plays better with hops too. There's a lot of rye IPAs out there that's just it's very intense because you're balancing spice with other spice from hops, and those things just accentuate themselves rather than complement themselves. So, I mean, we got lucky with how ours turned out, and we could basically kind of take a blank slate of this little bit of nuttiness that the rye provides, rather than trying to compete with the spiciness and trying to dull that out and get your hop flavor and aroma through that, rather than just kind of working with like I said, a blank slate of being able to say what kind of aromas do we want out of this beer, and it was a lot easier than having to compete with that super spicy and very distinct flavor. So,
Right. Well, it's a good understanding of like what our local ingredients are and how we're sort of molding the beer to fit to the feel of the local ingredients. So how is so the Berliner Weiss is actually pretty similar to how we do our Goza, right? So can you tell us a little bit about how it's similar, how it's different?
Yeah, so it's a little bit more than 50% wheat based. It's a combination of malted wheat and our unmalted wheat that we've had from the farm from last year. So that was the 2018 crop that we're on now, and yeah, so you get a little bit of terroir from there, and then we pretty much the first 90% of the brewing process is the same, and we're just not adding the coriander and the the sea salt to it, and
But you're at risk.
what's that?
You're at risk.
A risk.
Yeah, a goiter risk, probably.
You can get those supplements elsewhere.
You don't get your iodized salt. You could very easily.
salt, there's no
you got to
iodine.
drink a Goza before you drink a Berliner Weiss. Then that's
So we're not
that's how we'll
iodizing
market
our
it.
salt.
Yeah, we're not. Yeah.
So
It's-
we're
it's-
all at risk of
it's-
goiters
it's-
all the time.
Himalayan pink sea
Is
salt.
that why you grow the beard so
Yeah, it's
deep?
the best way to cope with
The
it.
best way to, yeah, just cover it up.
Yeah. Nice. I like that. I'm sorry, I did not mean to interrupt.
No, I
No,
mean
it's
that's basically it. I mean that's we try not to reinvent the wheel with anything that we're doing, and just do things subtly and tastefully and locally, and as much in line with the community as possible. And that's kind of our ethos right now, and hopefully it'll continue to be as we work with more farmers from across Georgia, and we spread our wings a little bit, go down to Florida's got some great citrus fruit, and keep hearing of these mangoes that are grown down in Florida that I'd like to play with. There's some interesting stuff over in Alabama too. So, branching out a little bit without, going commercial with it. Staying, that oxymoronic, like, think globally or think locally, drink globally, or whatever. It might be the other way around, but whoever we deal with, we want them to be involved with the community in some fashion, and have a purpose for using their ingredients in our stuff as well.
Yeah, very good. So obviously one of the things I'm interested in is health. So I think the fermentation science part of that comes into play. We've talked a lot about really creating a story around each individual ingredient, and starting to put those out. So and growing some of those ingredients, hopefully organically, and then making the story of our beers around those things. I think one good one is the dandelion. Dandelion, is it an ale? I don't even know. Dandelion saison.
The dandelion is a farmhouse. Yes.
Farmhouse,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
And
French.
so dandelions have for years been used in pharmacy and in something called pharmacognosy, which was an older science that was inside of pharmacy. And the idea of that particular science was that you knew when certain plants flowered, and you knew when to use their roots and when you could use the flowers, and then how to process those individual parts of the plant. So taking that and using the tastes that are there, and obviously there's some good properties to those plants, and combining those in the beers and using those as products, but then telling people about it, because there's an older science around it. There are no miracle cures, but certainly there are things that are more healthy and less healthy for you.
Yeah, we've been
I was like, is that a question? Or
we've
Gluten free.
we've been touring with that, and Austin's kind of been spearheading that, but luckily, going back to Sean Henley, he's part of the Cheehaw board, and we're excited to go down to Cheehaw. As soon as we get any rain. I mean, I don't know when the last time it rained in Albany was.
Like a week and a half.
Yeah, so we
Especially
want to.
rainy day too.
Yeah, but we'll wait till it rains. We'll try to go out the next day and get some
More
herbs and
dandelions?
well we're looking for mushrooms too. So kind of
There's plenty
all
of
over the
cow
place.
pastures around your place.
Well, we're looking for more benign mushrms.
comment.
Yeah.
Speaking of healing beers,
We'll just have to make a special batch.
right.
magical healing beers.
Yeah. Yeah.
Have to do those in-
Couple that with the CBD beers.
Yeah,
And,
you have to combine those in Denver.
yeah. But yeah, I mean, again, kind of taking that terroir and the local aspect and the community aspect of everything we do, and foraging is something that's always kind of piqued my interest, but I've never been very good at it. So having these guys help me go out there and find stuff that we can use in the beers, and then kind of reverse engineer our beers where whatever flavor and texture and health benefit or anything that we're getting out of it, go backwards and base a beer around that.
Yeah. So y'all been spending more time out at the farm. Has that been fun? Is it work? Is it a little of both?
What do you think?
I think it's been, I mean, it's nice to know, especially being the newer brewer here, nice to know. I've only been out there a couple of times, so it's always cool to go out there and see what is going on and what we're growing and see the progress of everything. I think it's very educational, in my opinion.
Yeah.
It's also, really, like I said, what got me, one of the things that got me into, there's two things that got me into the beer industry, I guess. It's the people, and then the whole farm to glass, I guess now is the term. And I think that's just a really cool thing to see, especially to the degree that this company is doing it in is pretty special.
Cool.
So it's always really good, especially when there's seafood out there too, like today. But very cool to see all that kind of stuff.
Mountain of oysters.
Kudos
always
to
make
the
things
Flint
easy.
for providing
Yeah.
our seafood today.
Yeah.
We have a little advertising overlay there. Flint restaurant should open up here in June. So-
Right next door.
Yeah, right next
Oh,
door.
yeah.
Everybody support it. We got our oysters, shrimp, and crawfish boil from the Flint guys. So,
That's pretty darn good.
yeah,
Yeah.
thank you, Mr. Glenn. So awesome. Well, it started. Dad had retired, and he retired from pharmacy, and we had the farm down in Camilla we were farming, and farm in Lee County, and I got the one here, and we were looking to do something as added benefit out on the one in Albany. And of course, this was 6 years ago, and I think there were half as many breweries in the state then as there are now.
Like 10 in Georgia.
Yeah, it seemed like a great idea at the time, and then fast forward, the development authority downtown found, and it turned into a little project into a much bigger project. But it seems to be working out well. I'm glad you guys are here and to experience the ride. So yeah. So cheers.
You can't say cheers.
I guess I can't say cheers.
Can you hear that in the mic?
Oh, yeah. We hear it. There you go.
And I think our most important part of what we do is continue to be true to what we said we were going to do, which is organic, fresh, sustainable production, good water quality, and always touting our water quality, and then the health benefits of organically produced ingredients, and having both ecological friendly nature, as well as tell our story of what we're doing and why we're doing it. And as long as we're doing that, and we're not really focused on, oh Jesus, we got to make X, Y, or Z. We got to focus on, we're making these products because this is the best thing to make, and these are the best. This is the best quality, and this is where we're going to do well. If we stop telling that story, then we won't do well. And so that's
Exactly.
I think that should be and continue to be our mantra. Why are gluten-free beers hard to make? I get that question all the time, by the way. So this is why. Yeah.
They're not really harder to make. It's just gluten tastes good. quite frankly. It's like, why?
That's what Mr. Belusco says all the time.
Yeah, no, I mean, I get the, and you know, it's something different with, you know, celiac. But if you're just, you know, trying to avoid gluten, it's just it tastes good. I'm sorry, gluten tastes good. Bake a loaf of bread and tell me gluten doesn't taste good.
Back to the beer. Is it technically more difficult to make a gluten-free beer?
No, they have all kinds of enzymes now that will, you know, bond to glutens and make it gluten friendly, celiac friendly.
Sounds like we've got a philosophical difference here.
I'm not saying those beers are not good. I'm just saying that gluten tastes better. But it's something that we can explore, and one of the things that gluten does do for beer is you know, add the body, and that's one of my favorite parts about beer is kind of the mouthfeel that you get from it. You know, that I think is one of the reasons why I've never been too inclined on you know, white wines and stuff like that. It's very, very thin and fleeting. And when you get especially an IPA with just that right amount of body, it just kind of translates some of those flavors, you know, perceptionally better into your brain rather than just kind of perceiving them and then going away. So. I'm on the pro gluten bandwagon, but if you know, if that's something that we do pursue, you know, we'll do our best to make the best beer without gluten as we possibly can. But I mean, I'm not totally. Yeah.
Trip tells me I have to make it. Then
we can figure it
and
out.
I'll begrudgingly.
I will make
it's not something.
gluten.
Yeah.
I'll make the best
beer.
damn gluten beer you ever had.
Right. That's my philosophy on gluten in general.
It'll be a very small quantity. No, yeah. What else you guys got? What else is new in the brew
I
house?
can't believe you're for a lack of words.
Yeah, I know. Well, it's been a long day.
It has.
I think you were in the sun too long.
I know. It definitely was the sun.
You guys look drained.
Yeah. I
was there
need
too.
like 9 more cups of water.
So much more lively.
Yeah.
And Nikki looks great. She was there.
Yeah, I was there.
See? Yeah. What's wrong with you guys?
That was a long week too. I mean, we brewed a lot of beer this week, and
Well, that's a good-
Travis brewed a lot of beer this
Yeah.
week. I've kind of taken a little step back and, you know, looked at the bigger picture a little bit more, which makes me antsy. But
Yeah.
Travis brewed a lot of beer this week.
That's
Oh,
when
He's got an excuse.
You went out to Denver. Tell us about Denver a little bit.
you're still
I forgot about that. Yeah.
Denver is just it's borderline too much, and it's scaled way back since, you know, 5 years ago when I went there. But it's just a great microcosm of the beer industry where they've come to a place where there's no mediocre beer out there anymore. It's all great beer, and even some of the great beer has gone away. One of my favorite places closed down in the 5 years that I hadn't been out there, and so it's not even enough to have great beer anymore. You have to give great beer and an identity.
and get Thor.
Yeah, if you get Marvel on your side, you're pretty much gold.
Pretty much golden.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was thinking like maybe Star-Lord.
But
Yeah.
somebody.
at the same time, I mean, there's a reason why those guys, you know, were basically like, we will give you free advertisements because they make great beer. So,
And we're not rolling out DC. So if DC's watching.
Batman will not be drinking our beer.
How do you know that? I mean, I could see.
We need to be way edgier for Batman nowadays, or anybody from DC.
It's so
it's gotta
dark.
be way
Everything's
edgier.
always so
Yeah.
dark. Yeah. What about a really good dark beer?
Although that one Joker's girlfriend, what's her name?
Harley Quinn.
Harley Quinn. Yeah, if she wants to drink our beer, I'm okay with it.
I was,
So
gonna say,
Harley Quinn, if you're out there.
I was gonna say you could dress me up as like Aquaman and see what happens. I don't know. It would be receptive.
We got to
the
get you
same.
one of those muscle suits.
Yeah, we got to work on that. But
Or we could flash back to like the 70s Aquaman.
Oh yeah,
Oh, okay,
yeah. And then
I think you can pull that
gotta
off.
Get a Speedo.
We used
then.
a gold starfish to ride.
yeah,
I know you have a Speedo.
I got like 3, all Hawaiian print.
Oh, okay. A bright orange Speedo.
You're gonna have to
That's what
go
we
back
need.
into the band equipment.
Yeah, Forge.
Yeah. Get my band wardrobe back.
So the Brewers Conference, do you learn anything new that you're bringing back, or what do we? What do you get from it?
I focused this year on the seminars. I mean, there was a lot of great ones, but
Emily's listening to this. So.
what did you actually spend money? No, so there was the two kind of seminars that stuck out in my mind. It was one was the craft malting guild now is becoming a very big thing. There was 6 maltsters 5 years ago, and now there's 72 in the United States. So that's awesome. You know, we don't have a maltster on site. We use a great maltster in Riverbend, but
That guy's awesome.
it's just crazy and just great to. I mean, it's the craft beer world, but on a more raw level, and it's just great because the more people that are doing that, it's just like beers. You're just going to get more distinct flavors and more terroir. Like, you know, people from North Dakota and Oregon and North Carolina. I mean, they're not buying mass-produced malt or barley either. They're buying local barley and malting it the way that they want, and that's going to again go back to the terroir of wherever they're from. So
Speaking of local barley,
Well, that's been the hardest thing about being a farmhouse brewery in Georgia, or one of the more difficult things, I should say, is we don't have a maltster here in Georgia. And so we created this relationship with our maltster in North Carolina, and we have to we grow our barley, and then they will take it out of the field. We'll sell it to the maltster there, and then he'll malt it to our specifications and sell it back to us. So it's a huge it's a process to get it from here to there and there
And
back
back.
to here.
mhm.
And
you know,
we-
sometimes it goes off as 6 row and it comes back as like 4 row.
we have not had.
12
We've got to patent that 4-row barley.
Yeah,
I think that's
gold.
a good
The world's
gold.
first
it's a
4-row
good,
barley.
like, middle of the road.
yeah.
Maybe that can be our gluten-free beer. It's the 4-row barley.
Yeah.
barley. So. It's our Emmer's barley.
Yeah.
So, but no, that's been one of our biggest things.
Yeah.
And you know, the question is, as we get more and more into this, and we create a collective bigger, is hopefully if one will pop up in Georgia. I don't want to be the one that pops up in Georgia. I hope somebody.
Yeah.
I hope somebody.
Yeah, we've got
we've
enough
done enough.
projects. Yeah.
I hope somebody
yeah.
listening will think, oh, maltster's a great idea.
Well, you know, but there was a panel of 6 different maltsters, and 4 out of the 6, two of them were you know, several generation farmers, but the 4 of them out of the 6, they all started home malting, just like we home brewing.
Just like home brewing.
So it's the exact same process. They're just like, I think I can do this. And then they, you know, fast forward 5 years and they've got, you know, 20,000 ton processing
Oh wow.
plant that, you know, it's just crazy. You know, how these things take off. And, you know, it only helps the beer industry, like I said, you know, with the terroir and, you know, the unique flavors that you can do, and the innovation that they're doing. Like, this is the first time this year I saw steamed malt, which is, you know, never heard of that before, never used it before. Roasted oats, you know, things like that. It's just like
That sounds good.
people are pushing the envelope on the raw side of ingredients now too, and that's awesome. It just helps us create new flavor profiles.
Oh,
And,
yeah.
and more distinct beers. So
And we do
More
like
power
a
to
flavor
'em.
profile.
it's all about the flavor profile.
And the chemistry and the process of malting is just as complicated, if not more complicated, than the process in brewing science. And so and there's a wide variety of malting. I mean, cereals themselves came from malted grains, and so the idea of breakfast cereals were roasted oats.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
everything,
exactly.
everything there. And for those who don't know, malting is they take the raw grain and then it's germinated, and then the germinated grain is killed or stopped with heat. And so a light roast would be a light beer, be a barely toasted, just basically the malt,
Your two
germination.
rows and your pilsners.
This would have just been stopped all the way to it's heated to the point that it's very dark and rich and caramelized.
Burnt. Yeah, they burn it. Yeah, on purpose. Yeah, for
And the
sure.
sugars themselves have changed character and oxidized, caramelized, and so it gives it that rich coffee flavor, which is very similar to what they do with coffee. And so
Yeah,
roasting
exactly.
coffee beans. And
Yeah, taking a trip up to Cafe Campesino up in Americus and watching them roast a few batches, it was like, there's no difference. The science is exactly the same.
I can tell you what, the stout, the Campesino.
The
Stout.
coffee
Coffee
stout?
stout?
Yeah.
That was-
We're talking about another beer that will be
That was
gone by the time that we
so
get this
good.
podcast out. But if you had a chance to try
but
it.
if you did have it, which if you're
Yeah.
listening to the podcast, you probably did.
6 months ago.
No, and we will continue to work with them. They've got a great. They've been working with small farms in South and Central America and Africa for, I think it's like 15 years now, and kind of come up through the whole Starbucks fad and all that stuff, and still get the same coffee from the same farmers that they formed relationships with, like I said, 15, 20 years ago. So, I mean, those guys are just great down there, and to have that great coffee, and also like I said, the way that they roast it.
Oh,
They'll
no.
do it to our specifications, and it's just
It lent itself very well.
exactly, yeah. I mean, and put it in our beer, and call it a coffee stout. Like we wanna vet out the people that are doing good things for the community and for communities around the world, and use them, because most likely the people that are going those extra miles are going to make great products themselves, and we want to align ourselves with them as best as we can.
It was tasty.
Did you drink it all?
Well,
Were you the
I
sole?
wasn't- it wasn't just me. I mean, I drank as much as I can, but it drained. I mean, in that VIP tent,
It went.
Yeah, it went, and so did that Starberry Berliner Weiss went too. I mean, and I don't know. The interesting thing to me.
Forever.
Well, the interesting thing to me is, so a lot of the people in that tent, they were other brewers, people from other breweries. It wasn't, I mean, the public was there, which was cool, but they didn't, I mean, it was other breweries that came in and they drained our kegs. So that's cool.
That's
I thought that
that's
was
great
really neat.
feedback to have. Yeah.
It's a good feeling too.
Yeah, and some of my favorite, that's always a great feeling when you're a fan of somebody else and they come up, and they say you make good beer, and that's always a good feeling. But it's not really what we strive for, is to appease a certain class of beer drinker. We just try to make the best beer that we can, and again, use the best
the chips
ingredients that we
fall where they
can.
may.
Yeah, of course, yeah. I mean, you're never gonna make a beer that everyone in the world likes. So, just don't even try to do that. Just make the best beer that you can. Some of the best beers I've made, I've had people straight up tell me that they don't like it. I've had beers that I thought were, okay and not really my style, and people love them. So don't getting caught up in other people's perceptions of
Well,
what your beer is.
Everybody's palate is completely different.
Yeah, exactly.
I've learned that.
And I tell you one thing we've done. We've taken the lupulin threshold for Southwest Georgia, and we've increased it. We have
You're
knocked-
absolutely right
we
on
have
that.
knocked it
I mean,
up at least 3 standard deviations.
people used to macro beers
Yeah.
have like now experienced beers that actually have body
Yeah.
and are really tasty.
Yeah.
And it's nice to see those people start to appreciate different beers.
Right.
I'll say it that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no doubt.
I mean, I'm not taking anything away from.
Hey, we're about to brew a San Diego lager in Albany, Georgia. How about that?
Tell us about that.
Is that SeaWorld lager?
Longer.
That's about as much
Yeah, it's made with
as I'll go into.
Jail.
But yeah. Yep. Not anybody from Georgia. Somebody from San Diego. They figured that their lager is better than anybody else's in Georgia, so they're gonna macro that beer up and
All right, baby.
shove it down your throat.
Let's do it.
Wow.
But,
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Something
No,
like
it's on the come up. But those things take like 3 months or so to brew. They do lager them extensively. He'll give them that. But yeah, you can have a freshly brewed San Diego lager from Albany, Georgia.
San Diego Zoo is awesome.
There's a lot about San Diego that's awesome, but
I love the whole Del Mar area, too.
it's only 2,600 miles away though.
That's true.
So it's a good point. Light lagers are technically difficult to make, right?
Yeah, no, and I mean.
And
They are very hard to make. Yes, they take a lot of time and effort, and it's nice to drink them when they're done well. But
And so for a
we
light
make
lager, so am I right in saying that most Miller Bud, they're light lagers? Or is that-
Yeah, they're light American lager is I think it's classification 1A in the BJCP, so it's literally the number one beer that anybody thinks about when they think about beer. So, I mean, they did something for the beer world for sure, but yeah, they're not they're not really supporting their Georgia brethren by going all the way across the country to find a light lager recipe that they liked, and I believe they own a couple breweries in Georgia, but I could be wrong about that.
At least 2.
Interesting.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my soapbox
I'm not
section
even
for
sure I
this
know what we're talking about. but-
episode. Yes.
Awesome.
Nikki, how's that Skywater? Yeah, actually,
It's great.
there you go. There you go.
Perfect.
That's my one sentence for the podcast.
Lean in. Well, it's funny because you've had a camera on you the whole time. My guess is they're going to actually film you and have us listen. It's going to be nothing but Nikki turning back and forward in her chair the whole time, and then you'll hear us talking. In fact, that might be a good way to do it. I'm not sure. Just kidding. Not really. LOL. Yeah. So appreciate y'all. Austin's not here. What's Austin up to? He's
shaking knees. He's shaking his
Yeah,
knees.
he's shaking both of his knees at the same time.
shaky knees.
Pretty impressive.
Nice.
I'm gonna meet up with him on Sunday. So
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's helped with some of the. He likes the plants. Yeah, he's helped us with the.
Man, he had me digging up dandelions. He's like, "Hey, man,
as a,
you haven't
as a
put
grown man,
Roundup or anything like that on him, have you? Go dig those up."
Like, no. Here's our loquats.
Yeah, those loquats. I'll tell you what. If we could make a mass-produced loquat beer, it would open eyes across America.
Yeah.
They'd be like, "Wow,
You have to harvest them all, though.
It is so much work.
Process them
And
all.
process them
Yeah.
because
Yeah. I mean, apparently, that's not easy.
Tell me about it.
You know, so Trip, I think every time I've harvested loquats, I've called you for help. Dude, I'm not getting up on this ladder unless somebody's holding it.
Right.
Yeah. So, and then I've not really been involved on the processing aspect, but I hear it's really a pain in the butt.
Yeah.
Apparently, it's time consuming. And some of those things have like 3 pits or 4 pits or I don't know how
Yeah,
many.
you don't know what you're going to get until you actually get in there.
Get into
yeah.
it.
Until you get
You might
in
get,
there.
you might get one. I got 5 in one last time. I thought
That's
that was
crazy.
like a 4-leaf clover.
I know. It's like, holy crap. Why are there so many in? And the things aren't that big. So anyway.
But the fruit is so good.
It is. So I think my favorite thing about the loquat is the fact that there's a little sweetness, but it's not overpowering. I'm not. I kind of like the tartness a little bit. It's not. If you've never had a loquat, and a lot of people I'm sure watching this are like, what the hell are they talking about? It's a little yellow fruit that grows on a tree, and I happen to have a few in my yard, and they taste really good to me, but they're not. That's one. I think I don't like an overly sweet beer, and I think it lends itself to Berliner Weisses particularly well. I would still enjoy. I think there's a formula for an IPA somewhere. That
You're gonna make that formula.
I don't know.
It's gonna be your first beer at Pretoria.
Maybe I don't know. I like so. Yeah, I mean, but it lends itself really well to like a Berliner Weiss or a farmhouse or something like that. I think it does really, really well in that formula.
Yeah.
But I guarantee, we're gonna come up with a IPA,
You know what I think?
a double
I
IPA.
think this podcast is over.
Oh, dude, that was awesome. Yeah, I like it. Yeah, man.
Awesome.
And on that note,
Yeah.
On that note,
yeah, we're done.
we're done.